This week in comic books, DC is taking a different trend, I've noticed. They're going more wholesome, along with some Godzilla and King Kong action. Kind of want to share with you some of what I'm noticing in this little shift in trend with DC. In Marvel, we get spine-tingling SpiderMan, and Marvel's going more horror. It's that time of the year, why not? And in Independence, Kill Your Darlings takes an unusual twist as well that I want to share with you. That, a few other comic books kind of laid in there, but first I have to try to sell you some coffee. Coffee brand coffee. It's good coffee. Check it out. Hey, what's going on, folks? This is your boy Pocan Joe to talk to you about Coffee Brand Coffee. We serve people that are tired of gimmicky advertising and branded companies that want to lecture you. At Coffee Brand Coffee, all we want to do is serve you freshly roasted coffee wherever you're at, whenever you want it. Consider Coffee Brand Coffee. Check us out, check our reviews out, and use promo code POCANJOE or the link down in the description to save yourself some money. Give me the opportunity to get you a delicious cup of coffee. Hey, welcome back, you wonderful weirdos. It's great having you here on New Comic Book Day and discussing comics. So definitely don't forget the comments down below. If you read something that I missed, or maybe I'm missing a point in one of these comic books, be sure to let me know down below. Love talking to you about it. So let's jump into this week's comic book haul and review. And we're going to, of course, start off with the one that had all the hype involved in it. And that is Justice League versus Godzilla versus King Kong, and technically versus Legion of Doom, which I'm super happy they brought that back. So yeah, of course, I went with the foil variant on this one. Not because I wanted a foil variant, because I legitimately thought it was the best one that described the story in it. So yeah, moved on with that. So what's going on? So Superman is proposing to Lois Lane. Again, this is a piece that constantly happens in comic books. And of course, Godzilla shows up. And we don't know why, and then we jump over and we find out that the Legion of Doom is, of course, trying to destroy everybody. They have the know-how. They have the power. They just got to find the right opportunity. Lex Luthor grabs everybody up, shoots them over to the Fortress of Solitude, because he knows Superman's got stuff over there, right? So what does he grab? Of course, a boom box, or mother box. Grabs a mother box, because they're like, we're going to use this for this big, over-elaborate plan. A new addition to the Legion of Doom is Toymaster. Now, Toymaster is a great character. Like, yeah, you can sit there and say, yeah, it's gimmicky with the toys and everything. But if you know toy makers, they're actually, like, super smart people. Like, it's kind of weird that they don't get the credit that they deserve. It's crazy. I'll do a whole video on that sometime, because it is just beautiful, these little toy-type characters. Anyway, I digress. Let's jump back into the story. So, of course, him being fascinated with things and the way things work, he snatches up a wishing-type ruby. I'm pretty sure this is something we've seen before. However, I kind of didn't do my homework on it, not as of yet. If I did, I'll put it down here for you. But for the most part, it's something you can make a wish on. So he makes this wish, activating the boombox. They all shoot over to another Earth. Right? They just shot to another Earth. So they're in this other Earth, and in this particular Earth, of course, there's Skull Island, which means you get Godzilla and King Kong. They're there. On the island, Skull Island, the whole 9 yards. And of course, with them running away from all the threats that are on this island, the Legion of Doom finds themselves holding up in like a little research facility type of place. And this is where the little wishing stone thing comes in, because Toymaster is like, all these wonderful toys, seeing the monsters, I want to take them back. So he wishes them in Metropolis and takes them to Metropolis. And this is why we got Godzilla in the opening scene and all the previews and everything. So where is this going to go? Oh, it's just going to go great. The whole marrying Lois Lane thing was fun. A lot of Justice League people have opinions on it. And of course, it's all good-hearted fun. Very wholesome. Very fun to read, and still gives you a conflict with consequences in it. And yeah, you can sit there and say it's kind of gimmicky to have King Kong and Godzilla in the story, but I kind of look at it as the way kids play. You know, if you throw a bunch of different toys down for a kid will find a way to make them relate, and that's how I kind of see this story, the way a child plays. And I think the writers are doing a good job of it. So yeah, I'm tracking this. This is going to be the one that we chase down to the end. Good, bad, indifferent. we're going to read all of these. And if there's any tie-ins, we'll get as many of the tie-ins as we can as well. So yeah, highly recommending it. Not the pick of the week, though. We'll talk about that later. Moving on, World's Finest. Okay, keeping with the whole theme with DC being kind of wholesome, I went, of course, with this cover here. It was cute. My wife's going to end up taking it from me. It's going to be her thing. It's Halloween time. It made sense to me. But what's great about this particular arc in the story in World's Finest right now is we're bringing Thunderboy back. You may remember him briefly when the whole World's Finest finally kicked off the first time. He is from an alternate universe that had a Krypton type planet. He gets shot to our Earth, crossing dimensional lines and landing in ours. Come find out he's got superpowers because of the sun, right? That's the whole Kryptonian kind of sort of thing. Left his parents behind, so Superman becomes kind of like a pseudo father figure to him, with like the crazy weird uncle being Batman. That would actually be kind of cool. But moving on. So with that said, what ends up happening in this is Barry Allen's traveling through the multiverse. He's trying to map it, like determine where everything is and giving everything arbitrary numbers. So he finds Thunderboy, or who he presumes to be Thunderboy, on Earth 22. Earth 22 is kind of a weird place. First off, they don't know who... Well, they have a Booster Gold there, whereas our normal timeline doesn't, which is kind of weird to me. You'd think it would be the other way around. That was kind of weird. Also, superheroes are dying left and right, with fantastic scene of a graveyard with superheroes' names all through it. So who's dropping all these bodies? We're kind of led to believe that they have a villain, but come to find out who was once Thunderboy is now Thunderman, because it's been quite some time. And apparently he's got a little bit of an attitude problem. He's not very happy with Superman in this as he grabs him. And it's like, ooh, he shocks him, does his little shock thing. So yeah, so why am I calling this kind of wholesome? Well, there's one thing that's constantly being said in this, and that's Superman constantly saying, I promised him, I need to keep my word, I need to find him. Because when he first disappeared off into this place we don't know, that was always the promise. And he's trying to fulfill that promise, and apparently it wasn't fast enough maybe for Thunderboy, so he might be a little upset and a little edgy about it. So why are all the superheroes dying? More to come. I'm going to chase this arc down. Maybe not the whole run, but I'll probably chase this arc down and kind of see where they go with this, because I'm very interested in that. More interested in the story than anything else. All right, moving on. Yep, that came out this week, and of course I went with the gold variant for it, the foil variant with gold on it, and that's Jay Garrett's Flash. So this is kind of the whole theme of why I'm saying it's kind of wholesome, because this again is another wholesome story. The sidekick in this one, Boom, was one of the kids that were lost. They were a golden age sidekick. In this case, it was Jay Garrett's daughter, but still sidekick, right? And they kind of gave us the disappearance moment and how everybody kind of forgot about it. We found ourselves a new villain from the golden age. I don't know. I got to do some more research on that. I don't know if he exists on any other comic book line, but I'll look into that and I'll let you all know. But with that said, we come to find out that with the disappearance of Jay Garrett's daughter, Boom, right, they had to go through their lives, totally forgot that they had children, the whole 9 yards. Now that she's back, Mom and Dad are ready to kind of take over that role. But the difference here being, and this is what I think is very interesting about this, children back during that time frame are not like children today. And I don't mean this disparagingly, and I'm not trying to wound anybody's feelings out there, but like back in the golden age, you being 13, 14 years old and having a job and working and not being in school and pretty much being treated like an adult, whereas today, that's not the case. So this character's come back, and the two, Jay Garrett and his wife, have lived a full life, right? So they're used to treating children like children, right? Now we got this character back, and of course they want to get back into fighting crime and doing all this other stuff. So there's your like emotional conflict there, right? It's just not jiving. Also, this whole Dr. Element thing and how he was able to make the Garretts forget that they had a daughter and his whole role in that particular story. Again, great mystery. And then you just throw some speedster at it. I'm not much for a Flash type reader, but I am very much enjoying this. I thought this was fun. We're following down that line of, I don't want to call it chibi. I think that's what we call the big head, big eyes characters. I don't want to call it chibi artwork, but it's very bright and you can see everything in it. It's very colorful and astounding, and everything's epic in it. And I really enjoy that aspect of it. As a person that does not criticize art, I can appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and roll right into Marvel now. We got Crypt of Shadows. So this is kind of our dumpster fire this week. Crypt of Shadows #1. So Halloween's around, horror stuff's being pumped out, and this just, it's an anthology. A couple of stories in it, about 4 stories, and they just did not hit that well. I'll be honest with you. The first one, dealing with this really cool character called Bricklayer, who hopefully we get some more of. It's a great concept for a villain. It's like cursed brick, right? And dying. He has the cursed brick embedded in his chest, making him evil, right? Carries a hammer. I can get behind that. As a guy's guy, I can get behind that. And then Scarlet Witch shows up, and she's understanding, kind of figures it all out, and defeats him by hugging him. Just give it. Apparently, all the villain needed was a hug, and then did a magical woo-woo spell to kind of make everything better. That missed for me. The second story in it, we had some Deadpool action. Anything serious that was going to happen. We got a mummy. We got somebody trying to resurrect the dead and get powers. And then we got Deadpool running around kind of undercutting everything. I believe this story is kind of in the mainline story, or part of the mainline story that's going on with Deadpool right now. I could be wrong about that, but that's the feeling I was getting. Like we were supposed to know this stuff already. Kind of vibe to it. But anything serious that was going to happen in the comic book with the mummy or anything like that was constantly being undercut with a joke from Deadpool. Now, I don't hate Deadpool. I like the humor in it. But in a horror setting, right, a classic horror setting, mummies, resurrecting dead, taking hearts out, you know, I kind of wanted that vibe, and it just kind of seemed chintzy to just add these kind of one-liners from Deadpool in it. And that's coming from a Deadpool fan, so I don't know. The next story in it, we dealt with, our boy Daredevil. So this is off from the main title. Basically, him and Man-Thing kind of work together, right? One can't talk, one can't see, but, you know, they're heroes and they got a vibe. I think that's the point of that story. They defeat, like, one bad guy. And it was what it was. And moving on, we get this Craven Werewolf by Night / Hulk story. Would have been really cool. They got a really cool MacGuffin in it, this blade that can take souls. It just needed its first taste of blood from a savage, mindless beast. So now we have Werewolf by Night, and we have the Incredible Hulk kind of working together to, one, not get cut by this blade. One of them does anyway. And 2, defeat Craven, which Craven got defeated pretty easily because apparently Hulk just picked him up and just, like, threw him, leaving the knife behind. So the knife is going to be a thing later on. Cool knife, cool concept. Probably the most interesting in this, they kind of did a Crypt Keeper thing in the whole story where they kind of had the brother of Doctor Strange kind of tell the story. If you don't know, he's trapped in a mirror and he's filled with spells where Doctor Strange tried to save him. And vampire, ghost, blah, blah, blah. And apparently he broke from his prison inside the mirror. Now, he's been introduced before. He's talked in Strange Academy, his original storyline from the Doctor Strange run. So apparently this character is going to be making a comeback. I just wish I could get excited about it. But the rest of the stories in there just kind of really, really did not jive with me. There was nothing left over that was scary. So yeah, moving on. Spine-tingling Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, if you've been reading the Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man runs, and you've been enjoying that, hey, kudos to you. Great job. That's all I got for you. I have not been enjoying them, along with a bunch of other Spider-Man stories. I just have not been able to get behind them. And I did not think I was going to get behind this until I got past the first 4 pages. Because it was I thought it was going to be another clone story, and I'm kind of over the whole clone of Spider-Man stuff and the different variants of Spider-Man and all this other stuff. I'm just done with it. So I picked up this cover because, again, it best tells the story. Plus, it's super creepy and scary, and I figured if nothing else, I would have a cool cover. But this is actually scary. So instead of making another Spider-Man constantly fight Spider-Man, right? What if something supernatural, woo-wooish, took away his entire environment? Like, people forgot who he was, but he knows who they are. You take away his powers, and what kind of horror can you really drive him in just as a regular person? In Bubba, they do that. Haunted train conductor, morbid grotesquity just out there. It is creepy. It is scary. It is bloody. It's probably the best Spider-Man story right now, in my humbled opinion. It's probably the best Spider-Man story out there right now. If you haven't jumped on it, and you're just kind of like, I'm kind of done with the regular Spider-Man stuff, and you just want a refresh take horror story on it, this is going to be your book. I promise you that. All right, next. Daredevil number 2. So we're taking a religious angle with Daredevil number 2. First off, love this cover. And as, again, not the biggest Daredevil fan out there, and I'm still not. But the story is probably what's driving this most for me. And it's probably what I'm most interested in. Because I want to say that they're taking a different, fresh look at this. So we got Matt Murdock. I don't know where that came from. I really don't. And Daredevil. And he's a father. He's running an orphanage. Apparently, there's been some snarky attitude out there on the internet that's accusing them of being a horrible place and just a haven for criminal children, and that the place is benefiting from it. Come to find out, it's from an older character who wasn't a bad guy. He was just like a hard-hitting investigative journalist, right? Because that was a thing in comic books. Everybody was a journalist, which meant they were PIs or something. I don't know. Don't overthink. It's just a comic book. But as we dive into this, plus he still doesn't understand why all of a sudden the representation of Sloth was even in the story to begin with, or messing with him to begin with. So that's another thing there. There's some good stuff going on in here. There's a lot going on in it. It's a much more complicated story, and I think that's why I'm enjoying it the most. There's a lot of things to think about, and simply overlooking things is a great deal too. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. But with everything going on in it, to be able to control one's anger, check. But knowing when to let your anger loose, check, right? Anger, violence, those are just tools that people use, right? You use the tool, you put the tool away. And I see Daredevil kind of learning this lesson as he goes through this, right? He's this religious figure, but he also understands that sometimes you just need to kick a bad guy in the face because there's a new gang moving into the area too. So, you kind of need to let them know what's what. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. All in all, great story. I have been enjoying it so far. So, Moon Knight, number 28, The Last Days of Moon Knight. Generic cover. I just went with the regular trade dress in this. I heard a rumor this is the launch of a new arc. Kind of, sort of. Like, kind of, maybe, sort of. So we're still dealing with this Black Spectre character. And I was expecting just a straight, fresh launch in this. Not so much. This is where they're catching up to the big boss, and they're about to have the big fight. But we got a synopsis of what's to come next. And my favorite Moon Knight villain, this Zodiac character, who he's fought once already, broke free, he's loose, and he's been kind of pulling strings in the background, is re-releasing. This dude's kind of sadistic, kind of weird, and probably slightly schizophrenic too. But I'm really enjoying it just because of his mildness. So I wouldn't say that this would be required reading for the new arc that's about to come out, but it does kind of give you a hint of things to come. Like maybe attacking the Midnight Mission. Moon Knight's non-profit. I just feel weird saying that. Anyway. And next, last, but definitely not least, but kind of took a weird twist to it. Kill Your Darlings. We went from, and this is number 2, we went from a girl playing in Imagination Land and a possible specter spirit out there killing everything. Of course, her house burnt down with her mother in it. Did she have anything to do with it? Right? That's still kind of left up in the air. But because she was the only one in the house at the time, the poor girl, now an orphan, has to go through the system, right? And that's got to be rough. Like, I don't care how far advanced it has become, that can't be easy to go from facility to facility to facility and end up in a psych ward. That can't be easy. And this book kind of really hits that home, right? I'm not saying it's realistic in any way, but the feelings are there. Confused girl, did I do it? Did I not do it? Am I crazy? Am I not crazy? You know, the whole 9 yards. Well, luckily she has her old friend Elliot from the first story. They kind of grew up together. He comes and visits her every now and then. They chat it up a little bit, and they play their favorite card game. Boom. So on the night where they're like, hey, let's break free or break loose tonight and kind of meet me at the gate so we can kind of chit-chat some more or whatever the case may be, her Elapig, this, right, from her imagination land comes to free her. And she's not imagining it. We know this because eventually as they break out of the facility, the thing's shooting darts and arrows at people like it's some kind of, I don't know, cartoon Rambo. And it's knocking people out. Like people are physically being knocked down, right? And then they climb the fence, and on the other side is Elliot, and the first thing she says is, do you see this? And he's like, yes, I see it. So, and it's like a little cartoon character. It's weird. And I was like, was not expecting that route. Like I was expecting imagination. The thing birthed an imagination, and it's a terror. So yeah, complete turnaround on this. Do I like it? Do I not like it? I don't know. Being issue 2 and just kind of throwing that at us that soon, I don't know. I'll have to read issue 3. We'll follow it down and see what happens. So, pick of the week. I have to be honest. Even though I'm not a Flash guy, I would have to say that it was the Jay Garrett Flash story. It's probably the one that's most intriguing to me. So, yeah. So, fireworks for Jay Garrett Flash. Poo, 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 poo. All right. There you got your fireworks today. All right. So, what's going on? So, guys, check this out. Thursday night. That's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. over at Mr. Comics 89. I am going to be in a debate with another gentleman, and we're going to be arguing for Ultron. I will be arguing for Ultron or Mr. Freeze or Dr. Freeze or Zero, whatever name he's going by these days. He's had all 3, by the way. Right? Who is the better villain is the question, right? And we're going to have a poll, a chat, the whole 9 yards. So definitely come on over. Check the link out down below. I'll put the link to his channel on there. If you want to come by at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday night, and you want to kind of participate, maybe pick apart our argument, share in the conversation, definitely, and of course, vote. Which one do you think is the better villain? Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, but my favorite is. It's not what we're asking. Who's the better villain? So I encourage you to listen to the arguments and, think for yourself. Definitely. All right, guys, I got nothing else. I got to get out of here. Apparently, there's some news brewing in my house, and we may have things to come. God, I hope not. All right, guys, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.